Well, welcome back, everyone. I am Sensei Chris, or Mr. Chris, depending on how you want to call me. I am here today with Shihan. So the first videos will always be with my biased nature, my two teachers. So first and foremost, I have Shihan Eric here. We're down here in Florida. So Shihan, why don't you start off? Where are we?
In Clearwater, Florida.
Okay, and we're actually training in a different school today because we're getting prepared to go out to Orlando. You have a big event going on out there, correct?
Correct. We are training at the Keto Dojo under Shihan Gary Clemente. And he was fortunate enough to have us to have the time to come out and share some techniques and I guess this interview today online.
Well, you've had a really big year because you actually stepped out and created your own system, right?
Correct.
We now followed you with your own system. So talk to me about your system, explain to them about your system and what you're going to demonstrate here in a little bit.
Okay. The Tatsumaki Jujutsu system, Tatsumaki actually means tornado. So the tornado, I feel, pick up different elements, but it's exact. It doesn't destroy everything. It destroys a particular thing that's in its way. So across the street, it can be a nice neighborhood. On the other side of the street, can be destruction. So in my concept, if this individual or the attacker that attacked me, I shouldn't hurt him. I have to be able to control my temper, my emotion, but I also have to teach my attacker a lesson. And in that lesson, I got to teach him not to attack any person again.
So what's your background?
My background is I was a kickboxer. Well, when I first started martial arts at 10 years, I've been in martial arts for now 41 years. My first system was a system named Akudo, but it was a mixture of Taekwondo, Shotokan, and Kempo. Even though we learned that in the system, my teacher was the world kickboxing champion. His name is Gary Baker, the human tornado. And that's another reason why I named the system Tatsumaki, because of the tornado. And I got the name tornado when I used to do kickboxing. And the thing about when we was in kickboxing, my brother and I started at 10. When I was 14, 15 years old, we was fighting in warehouses, back alleys.
The places you're not supposed to fight.
Not supposed to be. And then eventually he taught us kickboxing. He did a kickboxing champion. World champions used to come to the school all the time. We had to spar with them. So when we got in the ring back in the day, it wasn't like very popular. So we started off in small clubs. We wasn't even old enough to be in the club. At 15 years old, wasn't old enough to be in the club, but we was fighting in the clubs.
But you were a state champ.
I was a state champ.
You and your brother, though.
State champ, all the type titles. In point, karate, full contact karate, sign your life away, mixed martial arts. They used to call it tough man competitions. We used to be in the tough man competition in Jacksonville, tough man competition in Tampa, tough man competition in Miami. Eventually, after many years, I think I was 20-something years old, because I don't think about time. You know, my first teacher say, when you think about time and age, you tend to get old. So he say, forget about age. So I don't think about it. And back then, we used to fight every week. I would say, oh, let me write this tournament down or that tournament down. But I was in kickboxing. One of the fights I had, I beat a person to the point that there was blood all over the ring, and he went into convulsions, and he passed out. I thought I killed him. And for the first time ever, I felt like an animal in the ring. For the first time ever, I heard his daughter say, you killed my father. Out of all the thousands of people who was there, I could hear, killed my father, you killed my father. And just see his wife cry. For the first time, I used to brag on television, yeah, I kicked him. I beat him, I was happy, I run around the ring. But for the first time, they was putting the belt, and it was like champion. Everybody, cameras in my eyes, and I'm like, man, see if this guy is okay. They're like, don't worry about it, champ. But I said, is he dead? Is he okay? Like, we got somebody attending to him. So I felt like an animal. I had a few more fights after that. And I just did enough to win. And my coach said, you can't stop. They trying to kill you. And I said, as long as I can stay ahead, they can't touch me. But eventually, I knew that I couldn't continue because for the first time, one of the fights, one of the guys almost knocked me out. I snapped back to my old self and knocked him out.
But he almost got you.
He almost knocked me out.
Almost got you.
Because I used to train like a maniac. And but from there, My brother married into a family, and the family he married into, we met Soki Moore, and he was the first Soki. I've been in martial arts many years, but I never met an individual who topped the police, the CIA, traveled all around the world. He was a Mickey L. then. He got all these certificates, and I'm like, man, I've been in martial arts and I never knew. And he said something that hit me. He said, you always took from the martial art, but have you ever given back? And he said, you got these trophies, but what about making living trophies? He said, isn't a living trophy better than a physical trophy? And I think at the time, I needed that because I was traveling to different schools. I was going to judo schools. I was still practicing my boxing. I was doing kung fu. And when I joined, he was traveling. And he said, I want you to study judo for a while. I want you to study. And he kind of led me to different schools. He said, I want you to study some Aikido. But I was like, I don't want to do Aikido. He said, I want you to study Aikido. I want you to study some judo. I want you to study some grappling. I want you to, he just made me do it. Then he gave me a martial art encyclopedia. He said, learn where these techniques come from. Learn how they derive. He said, it's going to help you in your fighting, which it did. And then we started working together. He started showing me the joint locks. So instead of going to 5 and 6 schools continuously, still being with my old kickboxing instructor, but he mostly focused on kickboxing. I wanted to learn something else. So that's when I got into the joint locks and I started getting into the grappling and the punching, which all the things that I think is effective. In my system, I don't really think there's nothing new. I think we put in, to anybody who loves the fight, the evolution of men, we don't have a lion to fight anymore, we can't hunt anymore, that we need a way to get the aggression out. In order to get the aggression out, we have to do something physical and something that challenges us both physically and intellectually.
Does traditional martial arts work against a kickboxer?
Well, to the old days, since we didn't have gloves like modern day, I think the old school karate was much aggressive. To me, a Muay Thai kick and karate, I know some people out there probably disagree, but the old karate tournaments I was in the past, it was open for anybody. It was open for boxers, it was open for anybody, and there was no stoppage. I think the way karate is done today, because they have gloves. I remember ambulance and just blood be on the ground because everything was bare knuckles or you just wrapped up your knuckles. Because a true hit, if you're not conditioned, I literally punched a person one time and they hit the ground, and it's because they didn't condition their body. They wasn't hard. We was taught to make the dead the nerves, like in my shins and my forearms, even though I look the way I look, it's completely dead. I can take full shots to my leg, full shots with my arm because it's been hit and brutalized for so many years that it's just become a part of taking a punch.
Obviously, when you talk to people who take combative sport martial arts,
To me,
no, their whole thing is, well, it's how you train, and they're in the ring getting beaten up a hell of a lot more than most schools. So
we need both. So we, in the old, because even though I'm 51, a lot of times I get with the old instructors and they say the old way was better. Sometimes the new school way is better. To me, it's the way you train.
But let me ask a question. So all that background, and you're saying it's a mixture of both. So how are you teaching it today?
Okay. So
How you
a
training
better
it
way
today?
to say kickboxers, because I see kickboxers who suck and I see karate people who suck, is the way you practice your kit. It's the way you practice your movement. Are you training proper movement? It doesn't matter the style. Is your movement correct? Is your body language correct? When I show you a certain body language, do your body language match my body language?
Right.
Because there's certain ways. There's only certain ways that you can block a jab. There's only certain ways that you can block a hook. There's certain ways that I can come in and put you in a judo throw or grappling technique. So it's not so much the style. Now, sub styles is built into Muay Thai people. They build to be hard. It's not more than now. But it depends on what the person trying to accomplish. Because the thing is, in the past, there was a lot of injuries. How many people? And that's why some of the old school practitioners can't practice martial art, because you can't torture people. In Thailand and stuff, it's still people poor. So they fighting and betting. Like I'm saying, I'm fighting in places I shouldn't be fighting in, right? Because I just want to make a difference for my family. But do I want a regular suburban kid I want him to be proficient, but do he have to have a black eye to be proficient? Do he have to be choked? I believe he need to be hit, but not to the extent that he suffered injuries. And anybody who say they do true combatives, they will be hurt. Even though I'm trying to be gentle, everybody in my studio, you know, you're gonna take a shot. I'm still part old school. You're gonna be hit, you're gonna fight. You're not gonna stop in the corner, because one thing that I think people who true combatants is, the main thing is not that you're trying to win. Is, do you have the heart to keep going when things get difficult? Right. So that's the philosophical part. So mixing, I won't say a style is better. Do they got good footwork? Do they got good striking? Have they tested the striking? Have they tested their kicking?
Are they pressure tested?
Yes, pressure tested. Have they pressured their judo or grappling? Then it's good. Because a person can do a lot of drills. I've seen a lot of wrestling schools do drills, but they don't mean that the drill is effective, because if they don't know how to deal with the aggression of a live person, they can't do it. If the karate person don't deal with the aggression, if the boxers, there are some people who do aerobic boxing and all that, if they don't deal with the aggression, then it's no good. But you need to have balance, because you're not. How many boxing schools?
So you're saying you can't have the martial without the art?
You can't have the martial. You can, but if you just truly martial by itself,
turns
you
you
just
into the animal.
Yes, you're gonna be the animal, but you're not gonna have the compassion. And then some things that I learned about listening to Jiu-Jitsu, part of the martial arts versus any type of martial arts, that it brings in the most aggressive individuals. See, I used to have a bad temper, and I think there's some psychological, and that's the right, because I was going to switch to MMA.
Really?
I was going to switch to it. Anybody who knew me, so back in the day, I have different students at different times. I have some judo students when I was just doing judo. I have some just karate students. I have just Aki Jiu-Jitsu students, because we have the Haku Jiu-Jitsu system, Yoshitsumi, Mr. Raj from the Daitsu Jiu-Jitsu system. So I have that, and I've been practicing. Sometimes people question, 40 years straight. People say, sometimes you take a break. No, I didn't take a break. This is my addiction, this martial arts. I'm an addict, like a drug person, the addict. But one thing that stopped me from just being MMA, and for a while I just taught, and you probably don't believe this, because you're one of my old students who are coming back, but just t-shirts and shorts. But when I started seeing the aggression, that I had to bring back respect, because what some of these people is, they've been hurt, they've been abused, they have anger issues, and they never was taught to just humbly respect the human being just as an individual, as a person. And they've never experienced a person that can love and show, even though we're not about it, but part that I like about this, it teach you philosophy, it teach you to look within, that some people is too angry. They already used to be abused and hurt. One reason, when I looked at myself, and the real reason I started martial art, people say, what's the reason? Was it Bruce Lee or whatever? The reason I started martial art is I wanted to kill my stepfather, because he was abusive. And as a kid, I felt weak. So every time I jumped rope or did anything, and a person hit me, I thought about my father. I didn't know until I meditated, did self-reflection, that I didn't want to lose. I got to protect. I got to. And I learned that most men that's overprotective have some type of tragedy in their life. But they have to come to modern day, just making a long story short, or maybe a short story longer.
Yeah.
Yes. But to deal with that, to me, this is what the tradition, not in the methods, we have to question the methods that I don't think we should be beholden to.
So with that being said, though, so how did you put your own flair, right? You're going to demonstrate that here shortly for us.
Put my own flair, because I love all of the locks, throws, so I kept the locks and throws in it. But instead of being passively letting the person attack me, I become the attacker to make the person want to reach and grab to stop my aggression. And that's how I started getting my joint locks.
So we got the judo, we got the Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, we got the regular Jiu-Jitsu, we have striking. But today you're going to probably demonstrate more of the judo, Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, the locking and throwing, correct? Because everyone's got striking. I mean, if every system's got some type of striking. No.
And to me, striking, all most effective techniques are the easiest to me once a person in our system gets like a green belt or whatever. The most effective technique is the easy, but it's boring. And you have to do it over and over and over.
Repetition.
Repetition over again to be truly effective. And to me, in all the fighting, it's probably more
But we're gonna.
realm that's effective.
So he's going to end up throwing someone around. Not me today, thank God. I'll be behind the camera for this one. But if you are in Florida and you're out here in Pinellas County, you want to look up Shihan Eric here, and you're out there in St. Pete, right? North of St. Pete. So you want to look up Tatsumaki Jujutsu and show some love. At least come and say hello if you watch the video and you're local. So let's get to you throwing someone around. At least it's not going to be me this time. Thank you so much.
Right.
Well, thank you for joining us. I always say the most important thing someone can give us is their time. And I appreciate you giving us your time and watching the full video. If you can, I would appreciate it if you could like, subscribe to the channel, but more importantly, also participate. If you saw something in the video you don't agree with, please let us know. If you saw something you absolutely love, we still want to know. Whatever you do when you're looking at these videos, I would love some feedback. It will allow me to grow as a channel and also to give you, the audience, what you're looking for. So if you can, take the extra time, which I will appreciate. Please check out some of the other videos we have. And also, again, please participate. This is a community that we're building, and we want you to be part of it. Thank you so much.